Hey everyone, welcome to our latest edition of our Re-Leased webinar series. This time we are focusing on our mobile app suite. Appreciate you taking the time to join me today to go through the apps. I understand that it's not the easiest of times to be a landlord or property manager. We are filming this webinar in April of 2020. If you are watching this back at a later point, obviously in the midst of COVID-19, and I'm sure you've been inundated with tenant requests for rent deferrals or holidays, and also helping your clients navigate the situation. So I appreciate you joining me here today to learn about the apps, and through helping our clients get as much out of our software and out of us as possible during this period. You should have received some messaging around how you can access the apps over the coming months. If you haven't received that messaging, please feel free to reach out to our support team or your account manager, and I'm sure they'll be able to sort you out. And apologies in advance if you are able to see my Movid attempt, and if my upper lip offends you during this presentation. Without further ado, I will share my screen and we can get into the apps. Okay. So if you don't know already, we have 3 mobile apps available for you to use. They are the Landlord, Tenant, and Property Manager app. And we're going to take a look at all 3 and also how they interact with your Re-Leased account, which you'll be able to see just behind the phone there. The first app that we're going to take a look at is the Tenant one. Immediately when you log in, your eyes are drawn to one or two things. The first of those being the arrears notifications. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick look at that first. And if I drill into that figure, I'm able to see a breakdown of the arrears as a tenant I may be owing. This is also the same as going to my payment history, which is another button on the app. And you'll see here, I have an invoice which I have settled, rent for December. I've got an invoice in arrears, which is my March quarter invoice, and another invoice here for my annual insurance recharge. If I am a tenant with multiple leases with you as a property manager or landlord, I can use the top right corner here to manage those different leases. You'll see that as a tenant or as a user of this particular app, I only have one lease that's relevant, and I am Lululemon at one new change in the second floor, unit 19. Okay. The main screen of the app shows me the key lease details. So I can see my annual rent for the year, an upcoming inspection, and the details that my property manager has uploaded onto Re-Leased, who my property manager is and their contact details. And from here, I can call or I can email with any one of those email apps that you may have installed on your phone, my property manager. I can also see who may be associated with this lease. And you'll see that I am this contact here, but I also have a few colleagues which may be on site, they may be the accounts team, etc. So I'll be able to view and make sure that my colleagues' details are all correct. We took a look at this before, but we've got this payment history tab, which is similar to the arrears one, where as a tenant, I can go and view all the relevant information. One of the key functions and features of the Tenant app is the ability to submit maintenance requests. So down the bottom, I can hit that maintenance request, and I've got 3 columns that you can see from the top. I've got requested tasks, those that are in progress at the moment, so they are awaiting approval or a decline from my property manager, or those that have been completed for my lease in the past. I can go and view information on any of those tasks. Or I can submit a new task. The workflow for adding a new task as a tenant would be as so. I can choose a maintenance type, which is dictated by your personal account settings. So if you've customized this list in your maintenance and inspection type settings, this is what will appear to your tenants. I can add a title, a description, I can also opt in to receive a confirmation email where my property manager, or you as the user of Re-Leased, can approve or decline the task, and we'll run through that shortly. I'm going to opt in for that email, and I'm also going to send in a photo so my property manager can understand what I'm talking about. I can go through my camera roll, and I've selected there a photo of my carpet. Perfect. Just before I hit the submit task, I just want to make you aware that I'm also logged in to the Property Manager app that's connected to this account on my phone. So I'm going to get a push notification, which is one of our most recent feature updates, as a tenant to see that when my task has been approved or a work order has been sent by the Property Manager. But also, if I'm a Property Manager, I can have the app and I can be notified immediately when a tenant submits a request, as I've shown. So I'm going to submit that there. And you'll see straight away a notification has popped up on my phone from the Property Manager app to say that a request from Yankee at One New Change has submitted a task. And I can go and review that later. So just a hint of what's to come. You'll see as a tenant, I can view the task that I've requested, but no action has been followed up. And as they move through those stages, they'll move in and out of those tabs automatically. To keep in mind, one of the new features that we're going to be bringing out in around July time is going to be the ability to add comments to the tasks that are requested or in progress. And that is from a tenant and a property manager side. So rather than just this one-way messaging type functionality that we've got here, there can be a narrative around the maintenance request, and questions can be asked and answers can be given as well. One of the other core features of the tenant app is the ability to view key lease documents. So I've got a documents option on the bottom right corner here. And these are the documents that my property manager or landlord has uploaded to Re-Leased under my tenancy entry. I'm able to drill into that document there and download it straight from my phone. So you'll see that was a service charge apportionment document. It's going to be a big long spreadsheet, and I can go and send that natively within my phone if I wish. Okay. Just a few nitty-gritty kind of things. From the tenancy screen, I've also got a settings option so that your tenants can opt in or opt out of notifications, as you would expect with any app, and they can change their password or username, email address, etc. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to jump into the Re-Leased product just to show you how a couple of those interactions work from a user perspective of Re-Leased. So we just took a look at documents. So if I go to the tenancy page on Re-Leased, I'm just going to drag that down. You'll see that we've got a document section. We have 3 documents here. And the way in which I enable these documents to be shown to my tenants is in the document details tab. This button here is selected, share with tenants. And that means that it is visible for your tenants to see on the app. You're more than welcome to upload documents into folders and on this tenant entry page and not have that button ticked so that it doesn't appear on the app, but it does appear for your staff and your colleagues to use and measure against that lease. So if you do get a tenant request while they're using the app saying that they can't view a document, make sure that you go and check that that box is ticked. That's most likely the source of why it might not be shown. Okay. You'll see here on my dashboard, I have 2 new maintenance requests. So I am the property manager of One New Change. So on my dashboard, the very first thing I see when I log in, even if I didn't have the property manager app, is the fact that I have 2 maintenance requests to review. So I can drill into that, and it's at the top of my maintenance hub. I can see my carpet stain job that I just submitted and a broken pipe one, which I did earlier. I can approve, decline, or decline and email the tenant once I've gone and viewed the task details there. As I mentioned, as I do any one of those steps, whether that be approve or decline, because I opted in for an email notification when I created that task as a tenant, I will be kept up to date. But also, if I've opted in for push notifications, I'll be notified natively through my phone and the way that the app interacts. Okay, I'm going to leave this task as pending because I want to show you the workflow if you had the Property Manager app. Just to talk from a higher level, I can go save and approve this task that the tenant has requested, and then I'll be taken to items like the quote request, work order, maintenance completion, all the other types of things that you would expect if you were to create the task. And we do have other webinars on maintenance if you want to refresh on how to deal with those. Okay, we're just going to take a quick look at how you invite tenants to sign up for the app. So in my settings at the top, I've got a section named Manage Add-ons and Integrations. You should see a tenant app emblem here. If you do not, it means that the app has not been enabled in your account. So feel free to reach out to our account manager or support, and they'll be able to sort that out for you. Okay, once it's set up, I can go and manage my tenant sign-ins. You'll see here a list of the current tenants that have access to the app. And then you can either invite new tenants, and you can select multiple at a time. And we've got a template here that will email a link or text a link, depending if you have their mobile numbers set up in the contact section, so that they can go and download the app and be walked through how to enter their own username, password, etc. You'll notice here that they've also got permissions. So if you're giving access to the app for members that you do not wish for them to see the arrears because they are someone on site and not the accounts team, or they don't need to view documents, you're able to select those options on an individual basis when inviting a tenant to sign up for the app. Alternatively, you can go and create and be a little bit more hands-on with the tenant sign-on process. You're able to search for your tenants up here. It will populate with their email address, and you can go and set up a password for them. And as you can see here, the permissions are the same as the previous page. All that you just need to keep in mind here is that if you're going to opt with this, you'll need to go and tell your tenants that you've signed them up and walk them through that yourselves. Whereas the invite process might be a little bit more streamlined, particularly if you're doing multiple tenants at a time. Okay. So we've touched on it before, but we also have the Property Manager app. And you'll see there that I've got 2 notifications, and those are from 2 tasks that I'm yet to approve, which match up with the 2 tasks that were shown on my dashboard just before. So I'm going to go and drill into that now. From your Property Manager app, you've got a dashboard. And while it doesn't completely mimic the dashboard that you see when you log on to Re-Leased, it is fairly similar in regards to the information that it shows. So just to be clear, the use case for the Property Manager app, users of Re-Leased that are likely to be going on site or are just on the road and not near a computer, but they still want to be able to action things and view tenancy or property information. So the dashboard we've got here, straight away I can see my arrears. So at one new change, what is my current level of arrears and how does that relate per tenant? At Bishopsgate, once again, I can do the same, and I can go and drill into that tenant there and see exactly how that arrears is made up. So for example, Cafe Nero here, I've got their payment history at a few clicks of a button, and I can very easily identify which invoices are overdue. From the dashboard, I can also see any overdue inspections, maintenance, reminders, and any rent reviews. If you're a property manager and you're interested in refining how this dashboard looks on a per user basis, just keep in mind that it mimics the permissions level that you have available on Re-Leased. So for example, if I set up my colleague or a property manager who I know does not have access to complete maintenance jobs or does not have access to look at rent information for properties. As long as that's their permissions on Re-Leased, then those permissions will be mimicked on this screen here, and those options will be removed. So as long as their day-to-day operation on the system is correct, then you can be confident that their app is going to reflect that too. Okay. Before we go through the tabs down the bottom, I just want to show you the main key that will probably be used for the Property Manager app. And this is the plus button up the top right-hand side. This is my shortcut tool. From here, I can go and create a new contact, inspection, maintenance, note, or reminder very easily. So if I'm on site and I want to go and record that I've just done an inspection, I can do so. And you'll see it's very similarly laid out to the tenant maintenance request that we saw before. So I select my property. I can do a title. I was at the building for 15 minutes. And I can go and add photos of everything that I see on site. We've had quite a few requests to add more than what you see as 20 photos here. And we've listened to that. And by next week, you'll be able to upload up to 50 photos for one inspection. One thing to keep in mind is, as property managers, it's quite the norm to want to dictate our notes and transcribe that at a later point. If you've got an iOS or an Android phone, you can use that microphone button down the bottom to talk into your phone, and it will narrate your note for you. Those notes will then be populated on your Re-Leased inspection task so that you don't ever have to go and type that out at a later point. And I've gone and saved that inspection. If you have existing inspections or maintenance tasks, you can also go and complete them from here. I'm also able to create a new contact, and I'm just going to walk you through that very quickly. So you'll see here, if I'm on site and I've come across a tenant that I might not have the contact details for, I can go and enter that very quickly, and it's going to update my contact address book in Re-Leased automatically so that it can be shared and it's transparent across all of my team. I'm just going to go and walk through the options down the bottom. So we've got a list of our properties. As a property manager, it defaults to all the properties that I manage as part of my portfolio, or you can select all that are under the company. And you can search for a property. If you've got more than the 10 or so that I've got on my demo account here, you're able to go and search for that, and it'll bring up the right option. The information that you can go and see at a property is similar to that you would expect from the full web version. I'll be able to see the arrears and how that's made up, the annual net rent, the occupancy level, and the tenancies that occupy. I've also got the ability to go and view any previous tenants and their details. I'm just going to go and click through into one of the tenants here. You'll see that I can see all of their key details, who the contact is, any maintenance or inspections that might be pending on their account, and also any reminders. So I can see that I've got an incomplete reminder for this tenancy. I can go and review that and see the details here. So I know that I've got to actually arrange a call with the tenant about some lease break options. I can go and mark this task as complete, and that will update my Re-Leased dashboard and Re-Leased reporting as well. And now you can see I've got no incomplete reminders. You'll see here that I can also create a reminder from this screen. I've also got full access to my contact and address book, much the same I would have on my Re-Leased web version. What I do have, however, is the ability to favorite or to star certain contacts. So back on my tenant app example, we looked at Lululemon. I can go and star that because I know that I'm in frequent contact with those tenants. So when I reopen the app and I can select my favorites tab, I know that it's right there without having to search. I can go drill into that and you'll be able to see that I can email straight away from any one of the email apps that I've got installed. And if it's a mobile number, I can use any one of the messaging apps that I might have installed on my app as well, or I can call them straight from my phone. The events tab is also quite a good one. It shows me what I've got coming up today. So I can see that I've actually got a routine inspection at one new change, which was the task that I just entered before. Any overdue tasks and any upcoming in the future. It's important to keep in mind some of these tasks can be marked as complete from the app and some of them cannot. Things like maintenance, inspections, and reminders can be completed, as opposed to things like term expiries and rent reviews, which cannot. And the logic around that is, do we envisage these kind of tasks being completed through an app or on the road? For term expiries and rent reviews, it's unlikely, as there would need to be sort of a consultation with accounts, and it's just not a normal task to be completing on the road. Things like maintenance and inspections, absolutely, because you might be on site, you might be chatting to the tenant, so you have the ability to go and mark those items as complete and add any relevant details, as you'd expect to do on the web app as well. Okay, when we showed off the tenant app, we requested a couple of maintenance items. So you'll see here, I've got the number 2 down the bottom right-hand side. And these are my requests from Lululemon, one being the carpet stain here. So I've just clicked into the tenant so I can go and review their information. Perfect, I can see that they're not on an FRI, so I want to go and mark that task as approved. So I've clicked into the task. I can see the photo, I can see the description. Great, I'm going to approve that now. What it allows me to do is to add any additional details. I can choose who the contractor is. I can delegate the task to a colleague, and I can add any additional photos if I need to. If I'm happy with the information that the tenant entered themselves, I can just go and press done. And that's going to flow through to my dashboard. And you'll see there, I now only have 1 new maintenance request to review, as opposed to 2. So it is a live time feed between the apps and the desktop. So it should be the most up-to-date information, no matter where you are. Perfect. Once again, you've got a settings section here where you can change your password, opt in or out of notifications. If you start to get pinged uncontrollably by tenants with maintenance requests, you can use that at your own discretion, and you can sign out if need be. Okay. For setting up the the property manager app, all you need to do is to chat to your account manager or support, ensure that it's turned on for your account, and then log in with the details that you would log in normally with Re-Leased. You don't need a special app login. Your normal email and password will work. The last app to take a quick look at is what we call our landlord app or our analysis app. The objective of this app is to primarily look at analytics for a portfolio, and this might be handy to give out to your clients if you're a property manager, or director level reporting as well. So as soon as I click into the app, I get a synopsis of my cash flow. You'll see that almost immediately I can understand that I deal with a commercial portfolio because I can see my incomes are in December and March, typically around my traditional quarter days. I'm doing quite well because I have no expenditure coming out at the moment. I can swipe across here and I can understand my occupancy levels also. If I want to understand my annual net rent, I can see a breakdown of that by property. And I can go and investigate it a little bit more and see who the tenancies are and how that annual rent roll is made up. I'm also able to see the vacant units at my property and the ERV on those units as well, just so I have some understanding of the value of those void units at the time. As a property manager, as a landlord, should I say, or a director level, or whoever you give access to this app to, I'd also be able to view any documents at the property and also contact my relevant asset or property manager. If you're using the client accounting version of our product, you'll also be able to submit or to allow your client statements to be viewed for the app. If you're using standalone or zero, this option will be grayed out. You can also see your upcoming tasks as a landlord that affect your portfolio. So I can see my overdue rent reviews that might still be in negotiation and a snapshot of that. I can also see what's upcoming, and you'll see now I've been taken to the events tab in the app. It's highlighted down the bottom right-hand side. And I can see my upcoming tasks. So I've got insurance renewals and term expiries within the next 6 months. And I can go and investigate that. The idea of the app is for it to be one way. So if you are a user of Re-Leased and you have interested parties that maybe you wish not to give them edit access to, but a high level analysis, this is the perfect tool to do that. Because it means that they can't touch the information, but they do get a tool to view it in live time and in a real way. As a landlord or a director, I can go and view the different properties as we took a look at before. This one's not in arrears. And I can also see any upcoming tasks for maintenance specific ones. And then we touched on it before, any more general events too. The way in which you can enable your landlords to go and view this information is as follows. So I'm just going to drag that down there. In your settings on Re-Leased, you've got the manage add-ons integrations where we were earlier, and we've got the landlord app. You can manage your landlord sign-ins. So you'll see here, I've got a contact user, Swan Castle Pension Trust, and the email address that's associated with that. You can also see that you can give access to people that aren't necessarily the landlords, but are users of Re-Leased. So that's a little distinction I want to make clear. So I'll just open up a new tab and I'm going to go to one of the properties owned by the pension trust, which is the Bishopsgate property. So you'll see here under the property owner, that is the contact name that's associated as the owner. So therefore on the app, those are the properties that they can see. I've also got the users of my Re-Leased account here. If I was to give access to the landlord app for these Re-Leased users, they would be able to view any properties that they have the permissions to view on the web app. So that can be quite useful. So you might have a director or CEO of your property management business that doesn't want access to Re-Leased day-to-day, but you've set them up as a user. They can go in and view all the information through the app, and that might be their main port of call for viewing portfolio information and seeing how it's tracking as well. So 2 options that you can use here. If you've got any questions about setup, we're happy to walk you through it, or any questions about the apps in general, please let us know. I hope it's been informative, and best of luck for the upcoming quarter or months. And as always, feel free to reach out and be happy to chat to you.